M0FXB, welcome to my channel. Let's take a closer look at the Meshtastic LoRa off-grid network and explain what it's all about. Meshtastic is the name of the software that has been written to run a LoRa board. What's a LoRa board? It's a long-range communication device. It does not need the internet. It doesn't need any infrastructure. Yes, it needs a power source, but it doesn't need to be powered from the grid. There's no phone service, no 4G, no Wi-Fi required. So you may say, well, I don't need this. I've got my phone, I've got everything I need. Why would I need this gadget? I'll tell you why. Because in the event of our infrastructure going down, or in the event of an emergency, in some countries you have tornadoes, you have hurricanes, you have tsunamis. So overnight there is no infrastructure to communicate, and this is where these kind of gadgets come into play. I'll just show you some of the different gadgets here that people are using. And you can provide an external antenna. They do come with built-in antennas, as you can see on this device here. And if we look at the budget device, you can buy this one for £20. There's a tiny little antenna with the IPEX connector there. You can see it up and running. And quite commonly you'll see them in these cases. And there's several items here. If I scroll up this shop here, several items. I'll put the link in. The shop's called Rockland in the USA. And one of the popular ones is the sort of BlackBerry style. But I would recommend you get yourself one of these budget type ones that look like this, because it's not going to cost you a lot, and it's very easy to load the firmware. You just select your device, select firmware and flash, and it's literally that simple to load the firmware on a board like the Heltec version 3. So if you are, if you're interested in communication like this, then I highly recommend you give it a go. If we take a look at this image on the right hand side, you'll see the way that the mesh network works, and there are other mesh networks. Meshtastic is one of the software writers. They automatically retransmit what they receive, and so the more stations, units, people together, the tighter the network, the better the range. You can use your mobile phone to add GPS to the unit you've got, or you can purchase a unit that has built-in GPS. And here's a visual representation of how people could be communicating if there was, if there's no internet. If they have to rely on just communicating with these gadgets. Now they are line of sight, so the terrain is going to make a difference. So adding an external antenna and putting it as high as you can, and if you've got obstructions, then you've got to bear that in mind, and work out a way where you can communicate using this system, within the sort of restrictions of the system and the hardware. You can pair these devices with your mobile phone using Bluetooth, or you can switch to Ethernet or Wi-Fi. I believe that once you've selected it to use Wi-Fi, where you can enter the control panel using a browser, then you lose your Bluetooth connection. But many people are buying several of these devices, and there's many to choose from. I'm just flicking through. Let's look at the external antenna here. You can buy cable adapters so that you can put one of these, we call them white stick antennas, outside, and you'll get much better communication. This is what we call an omnidirectional antenna. And with an omnidirectional antenna, you're going to get quite a good range, but not as good as, say, the Yagi antenna, which is a directional antenna. It looks like a TV antenna, but this is a directional antenna. If you point it at, where you want to communicate, you're going to get a better signal. So what does LoRa stand for? It stands for long range communication, and we've had some reports of very long ranges achieved. It's all about line of sight. Imagine a string between you and your friend that runs for miles. As long as there's not many things in the way of that string, it's going to be okay. Or say you could shine a torchlight from a distance. If you can see that torchlight, you're going to have communication, but if you can't, chances are you're not. Now this is an unlicensed way of communicating. In the UK we're using 868 megahertz, but there are other frequencies, but because the power is very, very low, in the UK you do not need a license for this communication. The software is open source, so it can be changed. If there's modifications that can be made for the software, then you're completely allowed to do that, and so that's another plus. There is encryption as well, AD5256. There's a really good tool here called Hey, What's That?, where you can determine your line of sight. So give that a go, and I'll make a separate video. But you put in your location and the other person's location, and it works out if there's line of sight. So give that one a go. Looks fun to use as well. So in summary, it's an off-grid network that is perfect for an emergency situation. It's inexpensive. The ESP32 units retransmit your information and location if it has received your location. Very low power consumption, so you can buy a budget battery and it will power your unit, or you can buy these units that you can see here that are rechargeable, have a built-in battery. You can get an antenna and buy some nice looking cases. If you're in the USA, I highly recommend this shop. It looks like they really put a lot of work making sure they cover all the products that are needed for this system. And it's called Rockland. In the UK, we are using places like AliExpress, Amazon and eBay. This is a device called the LilyGo T-Beam, and I believe this one has GPS included. I decided to get the 868 megahertz version of the ESP32 Heltic version 3, and it works fine. As soon as I loaded the firmware, it just started working. When you pair it with your mobile phone, it does ask for a number every time you pair it to a new device, but that's very straightforward. You enter the number and it starts to work, and then you can go into the parameters and start loading up using your mobile phone or your PC the different parameters of your device. So check it out. Hopefully that provides you with all the information that you need to know just to get started, or even just make some inquiries. The main thing is it will retransmit messages. The more people that are using this equipment, the better the network's going to be. There's a bit more to it. If you look up MQTT, that will add some more information there, and I'll provide the link for you here. But it says Meshtastic network in different locations beyond the reach of LoRa can be easily bridged together using MQTT. The simplest option is to connect your mesh to the official Meshtastic MQTT broker. This makes your device appear on the worldwide map and provides a copy of your Meshtastic traffic. So there you are. So you can use that system as well. So thanks for watching my channel. Any questions you've got at all, we are going to be testing most of the devices that I've shown pictures of, including some external antennas. I will actually be testing, and it's going to take time to go through these different items. But I do feel that this is a growing system of communication. The other day I put my device on my windowsill and I was instantly getting messages from quite a distance just on the included antenna. So imagine what it's going to be like when I've got an external antenna. So thanks for watching my YouTube channel. Bye for now, 7-3. Please remember to hit the like or subscribe if you're finding this information useful. 7-3.